So I want to talk a little bit about one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to, or companies make when it comes to putting together their site and everything in relation to that, and that is trying to save from an expense standpoint. I have to mention this because it's critical to any business. The largest mistake you can do when it comes to putting together your digital presence and your marketing plan is do things wrong or not do it at all. So when it comes down to building a website, investing thousands of dollars into a website, and then having content that you maybe wrote yourself or had your receptionist write, that's a big mistake for many companies because it simply doesn't produce, and the missed opportunity costs far outweigh doing it right.
Exactly. So people will spend $20,000 on a car, no problem, but they won't spend $20,000 on a website. That's a mistake because almost everyone needs to invest in your online digital presence. It's your business. It's going to last you the next decade or 3 decades, and you won't have to touch it once you make that investment. And what Jennifer's talking about is what she does all day long for corporations, monetizing their business by looking at not only the front end content, but the back end. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the biggest mistakes that she sees on the back end and the front end, and then that I see on the content.
All right, so here's mistake number 2, I'm going to say for me, which is going to be not doing the right things when it comes to continued content generation, but you keep selling the same message or presenting the same message over and over and over again in sales presentations. So if you could imagine, every time you answer a customer service call or you go on a sales appointment or you do a presentation, you're continuing to present the same information, the same content over and over and over again. But you haven't taken time to take that content, put it into the properly written format and digitize it so it works for you forever. What do you find when people have tons of presentation hours on the books but don't necessarily have it digitized?
And that's unbelievable because when people come to us and they're looking at building blogs, ongoing communications, website content, books, whatever it is, they never think about taking that information and putting it online. So what we do is we're a one-stop shopping clearinghouse kind of, where we take all of that content from senior executives or from even a small team or an entrepreneur, and we put it online, and then we repurpose it into blogs and website, and we use it in the right area. But then also the most important thing, I'm a firm believer, and I write about this in my book called Words. It's what you say, but not where you say it. So for instance, a good example of this is that everyone claims that they know social media. Everyone claims to be able to say everything all the time, right? Even your Aunt Edna has an opinion on Facebook. But the distinction between what Jennifer's company does is she helps you determine what to say and where and how to say it. You can't just throw all this content out there. You have to know how to utilize it like a tool, right?
So I love the fact that when we're designing websites, literally, we're thinking in a technical schema as far as what a content structure looks like, which might be a list of our services, a list of corresponding categories, and the list of the top 10 questions ever asked by a client, or the top 10 questions you wish they would ask, or the top 10 things you want them to avoid, and so forth. And it's interesting to see that a lot of businesses will get stuck when it comes to actually putting pen to paper, but literally, if you were to analyze their company and their businesses, whether it's customer service or sales or executives, they're repeating these things day in and day out. So when it comes to the infrastructure, categorizing your content, you literally, what I've seen you do is take people's content from blog posts, sales pages, newsletters, and be able to put it into a book. Literally become an author out of this content as well.
Yes, so we can take content and repurpose it into a book that actually displays your legacy and your brand. And why is this important? So we've both seen entrepreneurs and businesses say, hey, I walked into the CEO's office and my competitor had a book on the desk. That is critical. You never want to be in that situation. So today, everyone has a Facebook page. Anyone can be an expert on social media. The big distinction is when you actually have a book. And when you have a book, then whether you have the book content in advance or whether you have it from what we've taken from your sales presentations, you have something that you can actually tangibly give away or sell to prospects, customers, consumers. And item number 3, are we on 3 now?
Yeah, I think
okay. So the third mistake that I have seen people make, whether they're entrepreneurs or businesses, is marketing to the consumer in their content. So a lot of people, I would say 80%, focus on marketing to only the consumer and they ignore B2B. So recently we had a client who ignored the corporate market altogether. And we went to her and said, look, on your website, all we have to do is create one more page talking about how you market to the corporate client. And she was focusing just on the consumer market. So immediately we've increased her revenue, tripled it, okay? Because her pricing on corporate clients would be 3 times as much for a corporate space. That is a huge mistake that most people make. And I don't know why, but they do.
Absolutely. You guys, the best thing I can tell you is, first, get a coach and a consultant. Doing this on your own, probably not good advice. I wouldn't write my own. That's why I work with Tammy. Secondly, you can't afford not to do it right. The cost of doing it wrong far outweighs in missed opportunity cost the cost of actually investing in doing it right. And third, you're doing this every day. With every presentation, every piece of communication, every phone call, every sales presentation, you're already communicating. And Tammy has one phrase, words are
currency.
Which means we've got to get them documented so they work for you instead of you working for it.